Hi guys, it's Josh Lloyd back here for your DraftKings first look for the NBA for Monday in the NBA. Let's take a look at those games now and let's kick off proceedings by looking at the Lakers and the Knicks. Back to back here for the Knicks, and they are favored by 3 points. The total is 205.5, so a really low total. We've got some statuses that are unknown for the Lakers. Well, not unknown. We know what they are. We just don't know whether these guys are going to play. Kyle Kuzma, Marc Gasol, and Wesley Matthews are all questionable. Gasol probably not in the rotation anyway. But if Kuzma and Matthews are out, then we look at Taylor Horton-Tucker to be a starter. Now, Horton-Tucker dropped 41 DraftKings points last game, and at 5,300, that is really bloody enticing. We just don't know if he's going to be able to play those 30-plus minutes that he played in the last game. So, at least because it is the first game of the night, we will get that information, and that will give us some level of clarity there. Andre Drummond's at 6,800. He dropped 38 points in 22 minutes against the Nets. And the Knicks is a different kettle of fish. Their defense is a lot better. Yeah, Taj Gibson and Nerlens Noel provide much better defense at the center position. But 6,800 for Andre Drummond's not an insurmountable salary value that he needs to get past. So I like him there. Schroeder at 6,700. Ignore his last game. He had 28 points, but he was ejected in that one, so he should be better. While Julius Randle's at 9,600. We know that he's going to get big minutes. We know he's probably going to push 50 on most nights. So I think Randle is worth a solid look there for us. RJ Barrett's at 6,400. I'm not particularly in on that one. While Manuel quickly at 38. He's always going to be a GPP guy, but absolutely should be nowhere near cash games just because of the unpredictability of Tibbs and his rotations. The next game we take a look at, we've got the Philadelphia 76ers and the Dallas Mavericks coming up here. This is a back-to-back for the Mavericks. No spread or total out for this one just at this point. Maxi Kleber did not play on Sunday, and he was replaced in the starting lineup by Nicolo Melli, and then at the start of the second half by Tim Hardaway Jr. Joshie Richardson's at 46. Occasionally he has big games. I guess there is an opportunity here for the Mavs to maybe rest Porzingis or maybe rest Doncic. They have not been afraid to do that at times, but they've also haven't been afraid to play them in back-to-back. So just watch for that, because that could elevate that value of Josh Richardson if we have Doncic out in particular. Embiid's at 10-1. I feel really good about Joel at that sort of salary. He should get that number, get 50 points relatively easily. While Doncic at 10-7 would be good if he does play. I do assume that he plays, but I'm not certain on that. While TH, the thick hogsman, Tobias Harris, he is off the injury report after missing last game. He's at 7,900. Probably a little bit on the high side to me, as is Ben Simmons is a lot on the high side at 8,200. That is one of the worst plays of the day. And 8,900 for Kristaps Porzingis on a back-to-back is probably one that I would look to avoid. The next game we look at is another game that involves teams on back-to-backs, the San Antonio Spurs and the Orlando Magic, both teams on a back-to-back after playing Sunday. The Spurs are 6-point favorites here, and the total is 220.5. I think we have to be skeptical that Otto Porter plays. He's been out for a while with his sore foot, haven't heard anything, so I don't think he's out there. Gary Harris has been back for the Magic, played 2 games, but this is a back-to-back, and with his history of injuries, I wouldn't be surprised if Gaza sits out this one. Well, Truman Akiki did not play on Sunday, and I think there is a chance that he sits this one here as well. Mo Bamba's been the big story for the Magic. On court, it hasn't been particularly good, but the stats he's been putting up have been great. 4,300 for Bamba, who dropped another 31 today in 21 minutes. I love him at that salary. While Wendell Carter Jr. at 59, I'm a little bit more skeptical on using Carter just because of Bamba cutting into that upside. I say there is a chance that Cole Anthony sits this one out, but at 5,300 if he plays, he dropped 32 in 27 minutes today. So I like Cole Anthony if he does play. DeJounte's at 7,100. That looks pretty good to me. Also, don't be surprised if we get a DeMar DeRozan rest day coming up, which is going to help Murray and White quite a bit. White's at 6,500, which is probably a little bit too high, but if DeRozan is out, then I would look at White as somewhat of an option. And Jakob Poeltl at 6,000. I think this is a good opportunity for Poeltl going up against Carter and Bamba, but I wouldn't feel particularly strongly about using him. Terrence Ross at 6,600 is way too high to use in cash. I mean, he can have a 40-point game pretty easily, but there is no reliability in him at that sort of salary. The next game we look at is the Brooklyn Nets. They take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Wolves on a back-to-back again. The Nets are going to be without James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and LaMarcus Aldridge. So does this mean they dust off DeAndre Jordan and start him? Or do they finally start Nick Claxton? They'll probably just do some stupid bullshit and start Blake Griffin or start DeAndre Jordan, but Claxton should be the guy there. And even before Jordan was kicked out of the rotation, Claxton was playing way more minutes than him. So with Aldridge gone, I expect Claxton to outperform Jordan in this game. Now, Claxo's at 3,100 because he's been just really marginalized of late. I wouldn't have any hesitation in including him in a player pool at that salary. You can also look at Chris Chiozza, who at minimum salary with no Harden, no Irving, he's going to probably play 20 minutes, and maybe he has 20 DraftKings points. I also like Naz Reid. We know centers going up against the Nets have been a good source of value, and he was great against the Bulls, and he's at 3,500. Jaden McDaniels at 45 is okay, but not mind-blowing. I like the 7,500 for Anthony Edwards. I think that's a really solid floor number. And Towns at 10.5. Well, Townsy should have a big one. I don't really mind that it's a back-to-back for Towns here. This matchup is just really too good to ignore, I think. DeAndre Jordan's at 4,000, and maybe we look at that. But again, I don't feel super good about that. While Durant at 9,000, I still think that he'll be on somewhat of a minutes limit. Bruce Brown's at 48, and there is a big opportunity for big minutes here for Brown. So he comes into play for us here. And then you got D'Angelo Russell, who there is a chance, I guess, because it is a back-to-back that D'Angelo does not play. So that's going to give a value boost to someone like Ricky Rubio, who continues to start, but it just pushes his numbers a little bit higher than what they would be in a normal situation. The Kings and the Pelicans. The Pels are 3.5-point favorites here in this one. The total is 232 points. So a pretty decent total. This is a back-to-back again for the Pelicans. We don't know whether Lonzo Ball is going to play. Darren Fox is at 9,300. This dude's averaging 51 over the last 3 games, and the Pelicans' defense has been, to put it politely, shithouse. So I do think that Fox is a pretty good option there. Ingram's at 85. I don't mind it. I don't love it. I do love Zion, who is actually unstoppable at this point. He's at 9,700. He's dropping 50s literally without even thinking, like big numbers from him. While Richaun Holmes at 7,300. I think this is a good matchup for Holmes. I think he'll give Adams the business, so they say. Bud Hield's at 6,200. I'm not super into that. Delon Wright, I couldn't be less into that if I tried. He's averaging under 9 points over the last 3. Steven Adams, no thank you. Eric Bledsoe struggling. Well, Najee Marshall, 3,400 for Najee. If Lonzo Ball is out, Najee Marshall's going to get a start. He was immense against the Cavs. I am pretty interested in him at that 3,400 mark if Lonzo is out. Kyra Lewis at 42. They're just not giving him the full minutes that I would have hoped for. While Mo Harkless had 30 points last game. Now, that's not replicable most likely, but he's barely above minimum. 3,300 for Mo Harkless should get us at least marginally interested. The next game, we look at the Washington Wizards. They are taking on the Utah Jazz in this one. The Jazz are going to be without Mike Conley. They're resting him. They're going to be without, most likely, Jordan Clarkson, who's listed as doubtful. The Jazz are a whopping 13.5-point favorites, and the total is 234 points. Brad Beal has been upgraded to probable. We know that Daniel Gafford is back. So Gafford at 3,200, yes, it is against Rudy Gobert, but 3,200 for Gafford when he's got Alex Len and Robin Lopez as the other options. He gets 20 points, he beats that, and I feel pretty good about him. I also feel good about the bloke on the other side, Rudy Gobert, at 7,900. He should drop a 40 against whatever this melange of bullshit centers that the Wizards tend to throw out there. Don Mitchell's at 9,200. He's going to be carrying in this one. I look for 50 for him. Well, he's getting 50s anyway. 55 average over the last 3. And I think there is an opportunity here for Royce O'Neal. With those guys out, O'Neal is in play for me at 4,200, as is Ingles at 5,700. Again, more ball handling, more shooting opportunities for Ingles. If you want some minimum salary blokes, Trent Forrest and Mia One are probably going to be in the rotation for the Jazz. Forrest has had a 22-point game. He's at minimum salary. I would be more interested in using Trent Forrest than I would be with Mia One. But they're far from guarantee players. They are just upside sort of guys. Westbrook's at 11,000. We're always interested in that. Don't care for Rui Hachimura. Davis Bertans is back, and Beal at 8,900 also isn't really getting the juices flowing there at all. The next game is the Bulls and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are 2.5-point favorites in this one. Both of these teams, again, coming in on a back-to-back, so no rest advantage for either team. In terms of injury news, we don't expect Justice Winslow or DeAnthony Melton to play in this one, but they very well could. I would say probably another 1 or 2 games away for both of those guys. Valanciunas is at 7,300, and we know centers against the Bulls is always a great spot to attack. JV has been super consistent this year, so I like him there. While Morant at 6,800, that is just a very juicy price for Ja Morant, so I'm in on it. I'm also pretty interested in Nikola Vucevic at 9,100. That looks all right there. And Kyle Anderson at 5,900 with those absences most likely to Winslow and Melton. He looks like he'll provide value. Hard for me to get interested in Markkanen or Satoransky or White. Levine at 8,700. He's playing pretty well. Last 2 games have been pretty strong for Zach, so I am in on him there. While I think we can look at Grayson Allen at 48 as not a bad GPP guy. And the same goes with Dylan Brooks. But I'm not feeling super confident with either of those blokes there. The Rockets and the Suns. The Suns are a whopping 13-point favorites. The total is 227.5 in this one. We know that Daniel House will be out for Chicago and Sterling Brown, Chicago for Houston, and Sterling Brown has also been ruled out. The Suns have no Abdul Nadir once again. McCall Bridges at 5,200, not a bad floor value there, but I wouldn't be looking super high at his upside. And 6,900 for DeAndre Ayton. I think there's a real opportunity for Ayton to drop a 40 here, going up against the poor defense of Christian Wood. Wood himself at 7,900, a decent opportunity. I wouldn't be falling all over myself to get him. I'd be much more interested in using Chris Paul at 8,400, who I think has got a real chance to drop 45 here in limited minutes. Johnny Walls at 8,000. He's been putting up massive numbers. Last three games have been strong. 46 average for John over those last 3 games. 8,000 is high, and I don't feel supremely confident, but I think there is something there. I like Kelly Olynyk as well, even though he is up at over 6,500, at 6,600 exactly. But he is giving us 38 a night, which is pretty good value at that spot. Kevin Porter at 65, really struggling to find his footing alongside John Wall, only to me as a flyer type, and I wouldn't really be having him super highly concentrated into my lineups. Denver and the Golden State Warriors is the next game that we're taking a look at. Denver just looking to atone from a horrendous loss on Sunday. I doubt the Paul Millsap plays on a back-to-back, resting, and the fact that he's shithouse now, so I'm not sure that keen on him playing. While the headmaster Jamal Murray has missed the last 3 or 4 with that knee problem, we don't have his updated status. We know that Kelly Oubre is out for the Warriors, and we know that James Wiseman will be out there. So Kent Bazemore, 4,300 for Baze. He'll probably get a start. He's been putting up some pretty good minutes there, Baze. So I think that he is worth a look here. 30 points, 28 points in 2 of the last 3 games at 4,300. I'll definitely take that sort of value. I think we could marginally consider Kevon Looney at 3,400 just because he's going to have to start. And then Juan Toscano Anderson at 3,200. He's going to have to play the backup minutes with Eric Pascal injured. So both of those guys could be options. I also look at Big Chungus Nikola Jokic. He should bounce back. Well, he doesn't need to bounce back. He had 54 in the last game. It was when he went to the bench that they absolutely got killed. So I like him here. I also like Steph at 10,300, who's dropping 50s all over the place at the moment. Barton at 5,300, I think that's good value. He's putting up some good numbers, while Maga Porter Jr. is at 7,000, also dropping 40 almost every night, and this is a matchup that I don't think will bother him too much. Aaron Gordon at 58, absolutely no interest. And if Murray is out, Faku and Monty Morris, they aren't really doing anything to get me overly excited. If you look at the slate as a whole, I like Claxton, Chiozza, Bumba, Reed, McDaniels, Bazemore, Valanciunas, Bruce Brown, Looney, Draymond a little bit, Gafford, Toscano Anderson, Gobert and Mitchell, Rubio, O'Neal, Anthony Edwards, Jokic, Towns, Ayton, Ingles, Cole Anthony, Morant, and Vooch, and DeJounte Murray, probably my best options for the day. Don't forget, guys, hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, leave your comments down below. All right, we are done here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. See ya.